Hello, welcome to the February Bugzilla Project meeting. I'm Dylan Hardison, and I'm Assistant Project Lead, joined by Dave Miller, Project Lead, and Kohei, UX Project Lead. I think that's the best way of saying that. We have a few updates. I have a few updates, which I'm going to be delivering in the form of telling them to Dave, because it's nice talking to an individual person. But if anyone is actually watching this right now and wants to focus on the IRC channel, pound Bugzilla on irc.mozilla.org, then feel free to do that. But anyway, without further ado, some plans. So, Dave, we haven't done releases in a long time. I've never been able to do the release. The release process causes me great mental anguish. Also, like really easy bugs that linger in the 5.0 branch not being fixed also makes me sad, and I think makes other people sad. So I just started with an odd numbered release, which I think means it's unstable. I just did a release where I tagged the git commit, which had some fixes in it, and I updated the release documentation file, and I did that. Now, the only thing that I think is missing from that is then updating the website. But if you're cool with this sort of lightweight release process, then this weekend on Saturday, I will release a 5.0.6, which will contain approximately 3 changes from the last stable release. These changes are really minor things, but then kind of important. Like the word groups is now a special reserved SQL keyword. So we got a patch a couple of months ago to fix this. Sorry, it's a reserved SQL keyword in MySQL 8. Anyway, we got a patch a while ago to fix that. I've merged that into the 5.0 branch, and that's one thing. The other thing is our friends at Unity. I'm not sure how to say that. They're the people that are using Bugzilla as the basis for some product that tracks something that's not really bugs. They ran into an issue where they ran out of flag types because flag types were a small integer. So I made a patch for them, roughly for them, but for everyone, that updates the flag types ID to a larger integer field. And I have that. They tested that actually, and that's out. So that would be like the 2. I think there's one other fix that's in this. There's nothing like big feature changes, but I can definitely make releases if releases means updating a few two, not more than 2 text files and tagging a release. And I think that if we do that for the stability of the long-term stable branch, that will be good. So first I'll get your opinions on that, and then I have some other things.
Yeah, and I can figure out the website part if you need it.
Okay.
We do have
a doc, because I just want to make it.
Yeah, we do have a doc on the wiki that lists off all the stuff that has to be done for release.
I don't. It's too much stuff for. Yeah. I don't want to make anything less stable. So what I think we have to have like rules about testing stuff that we follow at some point. But at the moment, I think that getting some of these changes out, like right now, if you wanted to run the 5 series on MySQL 8, then you couldn't, because the SQL statements won't work as groups as a reserved keyword, for instance. So there's one other change, the UTF-8 MB4 change that I did up to Bugzilla and would also be part of the Harmony branch. I think that could probably come out in the 5 series as well. Where I want to draw the line of what's 5 and what's the next release that we haven't released yet is, anything that touches the front end, because I just don't want to have conflicts with what Kohei's doing to BMO. Yeah. So, but back-end changes, there's a lot of back-end changes that we could cherry pick and put in there. I was also talking with Ben Cooksley from KDE. I hope I said his name right. And they have a patch that makes Mod Perl stuff continue working under the latest versions of Mod Perl on Ubuntu. And so was gonna take a look at that patch and get that merged into, but that might make it into a 5.0.8, if you will. So that's all I'll talk about 5.0. So if you're not balking at the idea of us doing, like, I think of this in my head as lightweight releases. If you don't balk at that idea, then I think that's an announcement.
The Unicode change sounds a little bit heavy for a branch release, actually.
It's optional, so it doesn't. If the change goes in, nothing happens unless you specifically say, "Hey, I want UTF-8 MB4." It adds capability, but it doesn't change anything.
Okay, yeah, that would be doable then.
Yeah, it doesn't make a schema change or anything unless you ask it to.
Okay.
And the reason I ask that is people keep asking, like, why why can't I use UTF-8? I actually kind of like Jeff's idea, the Red Hat Bugzilla guy. His suggestion was actually pretty good. When people ask this, he says just use Postgres, which is a reasonable thing because Postgres does just handle emojis properly and always has. So it's not like you're up. If you're starting out and you just want to run stuff, you should run Postgres maybe. But anyway, so moving along, the next item is I think that we would be better suited by moving the Bugzilla IRC channel to Freenode. Any thoughts on that? Like I feel that it would be longer term, more aligned. We might get other random contributors. I got MST from the Perl community to join the Bugzilla channel a long time ago, but I haven't really got any other cross-pollination because unless you're already doing Mozilla stuff, then you're not interested. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm already idling. I think I am. Maybe since I reconnected, I was already idling on the Bugzilla Freenode channel. So you want to think about that? Let's not make a decision right now, but let's be thinking about maybe moving there. Like think about it for a month.
Okay. I kind of like the idea personally.
You like the idea of moving?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. We'll talk about that more. But then,
It's
so
like
that's good to do.
It's like you said, that a lot of people use Bugzilla that aren't otherwise involved with Mozilla stuff, and all the other general open source projects are there. So.
Yep. Most I kind of want to do it because of the spam problem, although it's gotten a little bit better, but still, Freenode's been doing a really good job of not having me be annoyed by people, so I'm happy with that. Anyway, moving along to Harmony stuff, I have done lots of work on Bugzilla that would benefit that. Kohei has done a tremendous amount of UX stuff. I haven't spent the time necessary to make it runnable by anyone else. I still need to do that. I do have Bugzilla.ninja running most of the time now, which is Bugzilla code running in an environment that's pretty different than our environment. Like it's running on Ubuntu install. It's using a very recent, the latest version of Perl. So it's very different than BMO prod, but it's still using the BMO extensions. And as you know, my problem is removing those extensions is basically impossible. So I haven't figured out how to demozillify the BMO branch enough to call it a release of Harmony. I will say that anyone that's watching this, I believe that you could just run that code. I think that it would work, modulo changing the logo in the top left corner. But if you didn't like any of our special things, then it would be a little bit annoying. So I do need to work on that, but I don't really have a cohesive plan. I was going to get a manual to test out porting the email changes that we need to it, but I didn't even have the time to write out a spec for how to do that. So it's sort of languished, which is partially why I was like, well, I'll at least give some good code to the 5.0 branch. It's sort of me doing that as a feeling guilty for not doing the other stuff that people want. So anyway, that's where we are. The Harmony project is completely stalled at the moment. Although with each increasing day, the BMO code becomes more normal and easier to run. Our development environment now has interactive editing using the Mojilicious Morbo command, which what this means is it's like editing things back in the CGI days. You edit a file and it just reloads the file. Like you edit a PM file or a template and the changes are immediately reflected. It's a really nice experience. Because of things like that, it's also easier to run it, but it, like I said, it still has some Mozilla specific things in it, and I haven't been able to figure out how to remove those. So that's all I have.
Yeah, it was sounding from stuff you were saying on IRC the last week or two, it sounded like we might have been a month or two away from having a good beta release or something.
I see, that's the thing. I don't. What are the parameters? What do we have to do to say that it's done? Like aside from the logo, what are the things that would? I guess maybe I should try running a separate Bugzilla that is being that we. I don't have any use cases for that, but if I try running it completely separate from the BMO code for something else, maybe that would help. I kind of was going to do that for Arch Linux, but they have run into a few additional problems that I haven't been able to fix either.
As long as it has a clean upgrade from the 5.0 branch and it actually runs. and we're not
Clean
removing
upgrade
any
for the
major features.
With the one thing that we're not compatible with on that front is the bug aliases thing. I don't want to support, excuse me, I don't want to support multiple aliases, so we have to have a migration path away from that, which is frustrating. Unless Kohei thinks that we should add multiple aliases to BMO, in which case the migration becomes.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I personally think we should not support multiple aliases. So
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah, it's
just
not a great
one.
feature.
It's a column on the
great
bugs
feature.
table right now, right? On
And
BMO's
it's also
column
very
bugs table.
fast. Yeah,
And
it's also very
having
fast.
multiple means you'd have to have a separate table for it with links to the bug numbers.
Yep, and which is what we have in the 5.0 branch. Yeah, which we have in the 5.0 branch, but it turns, you could do it faster, but the way that it's implemented is doing two different queries, and you're adding 10 milliseconds every time you have to do a separate database query. I was actually recently looking at optimization. If you want to get 1,000 things, it's actually more efficient to get 1,000 things out of the database at once than to get 10 groups of 100 things out of the database. It's better to stream the data out over one attempt rather than. I said connections earlier. It's not actually separate connections. It's a persistent connection, but each database call has an overhead of like 10 milliseconds that I've measured.
Yeah.
So what I'll try to do, we could
always do an alpha release or something. Could always do an alpha release with would get it as long as it runs. It doesn't necessarily have to be bug free, but it actually runs and has a clean upgrade from 5.
Clean upgrade. So let's talk about that. Let's do it. I need to focus. Before I tried doing the charter thing, I tried doing a clean upgrade from several previous versions, and I think that bogged down. So if I try clean upgrade from 5, that's probably more reasonable. So I'm going to attempt to do that. Clean upgrade.
When we think all of the blocking bugs are gone, that's when we go beta and give it a week to see if anybody finds more bugs.
Okay, that sounds good. I think I can do that. But regardless, I still think that the faster release process for the 5 branch is going to be good, because that's. If we had a security thing that I was aware of that we needed to fix, I would have to ask DKL to do that. He's really busy with doing other stuff, and I don't want. The release process is too much of a thing. I tried getting.
The website is in better condition to be able to automate a bunch of the release stuff now too. It used to be you had to go hand edit a whole bunch of things every time we had a release.
Yep. I do believe that the writing the release notes, sometimes people automate this stuff by taking the release notes and pulling them from the VCS history. I really think that a human editor figuring out what's release noteworthy is valuable, rather than just everything. Here's everything that changed, because there might be 5 commits, but there's only 2 real features that happened. So, all right, that's all I have as far as updates. I don't want to make any more commitments I'm not going to make, but I am running, like I said, I'm running Bugzilla on my own hardware now on Ubuntu on a different version of Perl, very different from what the BMO production environment is. So that's a good place to start. I guess if I get a database snapshot from a 5.0 install, which I can have a 5.0 install, I try hard enough, I could try the upgrade.
Okay.
Be really useful if someone with a relatively large data set just wanted to do the upgrade, and then it would be something to play with. It's always easier to do these sorts of things when you have real data. But that's a bit too much to ask for. All right.
That's what landfill used to be for.
Yeah. Do we sell that data anywhere?
Actually, I was going to say, don't we have that data in Circle CI or something?
We had one
there's upgrade data sets that it uses for testing the upgrades and the unit testing, I thought.
We have one that Emmanuel produced from 4.2, I think, but not from 5. See, that was back when I was trying to bite off more than I could reasonably do. I do think that attempting smaller goals with this is easier. I think the thing that's confusing, and I hope this isn't oversharing when one talks about too much stuff, but I think that when you're used to getting things done that you spend 8 or 9 hours a day doing, and then you contrast that to something that you're spending a couple of hours a month on, which is volunteer work on this, you end up falling short because you think that, wow, I get all this stuff done. I can do lots of things. And then you're like, I can't actually get lots of things done with only a couple of hours a month. And I think that's a thing I've learned is that you have to have smaller goals when you spend smaller amounts of time on something. So, all right. Hopefully that's something useful to discuss. At least you have an idea where my head's at. I'm done. Are we all done? Justin, do you have any other things you want to talk about?
Yeah, I didn't have anything to bring up personally.
Okay. Kohei, do you have any? You don't have to. If you just nod, if you don't.
So UX-wise, we still have using Mozilla Sandstone skin on VMO. So yeah, this skin is my major task before shipping 6.0, and
okay.
I think we can push a couple more UX enhancements like formatting toolbar for Markdown editor, or like showing inline, what's the image attachments, inline.
I would like inline image attachments would be good.
Yeah, like only a few things are, I guess I can add some more, 2.6. Yeah, that's.
So basically it's just on me to make this. I need to do the packaging. I need to make it so that this is installable and works. That's the thing, and I should just do that. All right, cheers. I'm gonna go. I hope I didn't depress anyone too much with my lack of activity on those topics, but that's what things are. At least I'm honest. At least I'm not making more excuses like, no, I'm gonna totally do this with time that doesn't actually exist. Bye.
Bye.